spitting, I'm flipping, I'm kicking, I'm whipping and sticking. I'm vicious, I'm winning, I'm tripping. GAARA was a vicious, heartless, tough son of a... But we can't even lie. This nigga went soft on us. He went from this to this. Hi, how are you? I'm normal. But we can't forget about his glory days. And I'm not even gonna sit here and say he doesn't have hands anymore, but his tough guy aura just depleted when he grew up. And there's nothing wrong with that. He just matured for the better. But we gotta put on our scuba gear, speedos, goggles and butt plugs and dive into how Naruto low-key stripped GAARA of his aura. Yeah, I'm name dropping. So bang! It all started in the Chunin exams. The vibes, the hype, the tension, immaculate. We were all geeked, ready to watch these youngins put in work. And we keep hearing rumors about this cold dude from the Sand Village. And he finally makes his grand entrance with the Spider-Man pose. Oh my goodness. Let's get an instant replay on that.
Can I see you tomorrow night?
Sure. But don't you mean tonight?
Now that was tough. He really came in hanging upside down while simultaneously threatening to body his own siblings. Tell me who else is this cold? And as soon as he locked eyes with Sasuke, he was feeling like Aaron the plumber. Yeah, I need that in a real way. And ladies and gentlemen, we knew we had one for the ages. But we'll tap into that in a little bit. But the Chunin exams finally started and he showed up in the forest of death and had the Genin, Jonin, and grown Anbu stressing. They've never seen this level of menacology before. They didn't know what to do. They were like, mind you, this guy was what, 12 years old at the time? But he was built different. And it was finally time for him to showcase his hands. Show us that you can give somebody the beats. And here's where we got the instant classic. Top 3 fight in Naruto. Stone Cold vs. The Rock. Roman Reigns vs. Brock Lesnar. Drew McIntyre vs. CM Punk. GAARA vs. Rock Lee. This fight right here is what truly sucked me into Naruto. It was cool starting off, but when I saw this, mama. So bang, it's time for the 9th match, and look at how this nigga was posted up, itching and feeding for smoke. And did y'all once think for a single second that Rock Lee would duck a fade? No. So they start going at it off rip. Wop. But hold on now. Lee learned real quick he was messing with something serious. This wasn't your typical Pee-wee background character, nah. So Lee just went out there swinging, and GAARA's using his sand to deflect everything. And I kid you not, his arm stayed crossed the entire time just like this. Then Lee got tired of playing games and he got the green light from Guy Sensei to do that thing. And boom! He dropped his ankle weights. Yes, this nigga was wearing ankle weights the entire time. And when I tell you he was moving, he was moving. I'm not even gonna lie, that whole mysterious act with GAARA went out the window for a second. He was stumped and boom! For the first time, GAARA got rocked. This nigga almost punched him into a handstand. But GAARA emerged and went to the next level. What the actual F is that? Mind you, this is the same guy. If I watched this at 10, 11 years old, I would have urinated myself. But after Lee got dog walked a little, he unlocked the 5th gate and did put belt to but that don't work. GAARA used a sand coffin and literally snapped this nigga into pieces. And that is all she wrote. But hold on. This right here is where it gets insane. After GAARA shattered his limbs into molecular pieces, he was like, nah, that. I'm making an example out of you. And tried to body this nigga. Mike Guy literally had to step in and save Lee's life. But I have the utmost respect for Rock Lee. This nigga has the heart of a warrior. Broken arms, broken legs, limp and everything. He was still trying to run his fade. This nigga was a soldier. The terrifying thing with GAARA is that this nigga obviously has no regard for human life. He was inches away from bodying an unconscious Lee, and on top of that, he has a routine of threatening to body his own blood, and on top of all that, he had a tailed beast inside of him. Lord have mercy. They should have put this nigga on Beyond Scared straight. But after GAARA showed us he can throw hands for real and it's not just a tough guy act, he was like, F that, bring me Sasuke, matter of fact, bring me the whole Lee village. He was feeling himself. He thought he was in Def Jam for a second. But as y'all can see, GAARA is indeed one of them ones, a real YN. But We'll get into what made him one of them ones in a little bit, but the hype is unreal. We have niggas camping outside waiting to watch that Gaara and Sasuke fade. They're peeing in bottles and dookie in the woods. But it was finally time. So bang! Whoa. Hold on. I forgot to mention, this nigga Gaara spun back after the fight with Lee. He went to the hospital and tried to finish the job again. Look at this nigga, he was hearing voices and this guy was a lunatic. Shikamaru and Naruto had to save Lee's life for the second time. Gaara really went 0 for 2. Tough. But we're at the stadium waiting for Gaara and Sasuke's grand entrances, and Gaara's already there, and whoever the cameraman is, you're wrong for this angle. They got him looking like Travis Scott, and Sasuke is on African American timing. He's mad late to this fight, and the crowd was starting to get mad. They were ready to start throwing water bottles, banana peels, used diapers, anything. When all of a sudden, everyone feels this huge gust of wind take them off their feet, and Kakashi and Sasuke finally show up in fashion. They showed up at the last possible second. The crowd was starstruck. Was this aura farming? I don't know, but it was tough. And Gaara's making his grand entrance to the battlefield, and these two dweebs were in his way, and are we even surprised anymore? But it finally started, and this nigga Gaara started tweaking. Not even a single punch was thrown yet, but Sasuke rushed him and Gaara hit his signature arms crossed, let the sand fight for me pose. But hold on, he learned real quick this was not Lee. No offense to my boy, but Sasuke socked him off rip. He made this nigga hit a 1080, holy moly. And Sasuke started putting belt to. It was so bad, he had Gaara shelled up in a ball hiding from that whooping. But hold on, Gaara was plotting something. He was in there creeping us out, whispering some type of mystical enchantment. Then Sasuke had to open him up and get in there. Pause. So he charged up his Chidori and boom! And Gaara let out the most horrific blood-curdling scream. When I watched this for the first time, I got goosebumps. Gaara, for the first time in his life, was bleeding. He didn't know what to do after that. His pride was shattered. He really went from oh to oh. But luckily, the Chunin exams had to come to a halt during this fight. Orochimaru and some Sound Village ops decided to flip some upside down. And with all this chaos going on, Sasuke hawked Gaara down for round 2. He was like, nah, that. We finishing this right here. But oh, Gaara tweaked out and finally let the tailed beast take over. Yeah, it's raps. It was nice knowing y'all. Shout out to my mom Bernice. Shout out my uncle George. Shout out my sister Kylie. Shout out Grandpa Stewart. Y'all stay safe down here. I can't lie, Sasuke was definitely getting his beat. No doubt about that. But he was standing his ground until he couldn't anymore, and boom! Naruto kicked the out of Gaara. Sweet chin music. Naruto saved his life and he's taking over from here. He got to get his hits in, or words. But before we tap into that, we finally get to sit down one-on-one and ask Gaara the big question. What the is wrong with you? So bang! It all started when he was born. His mom didn't make it when she was giving birth to him, and this nigga tried to do some unspeakable things to himself. But it was no use. And he had a tailed beast inside of him. You know niggas treated him like he had the bubonic plague. He was actually a sweet kid, but the only person who really liked him was his uncle. Me personally, I would have been cool with you, gang. Yo, 2025, we done bullying Jinchuriki. I never got with that. But one night, he's walking down the street crying at how messed up his life is, and out of nowhere, somebody tried to hit this little kid with an Assassin's Creed Ultra combo. And Gaara was a nice kid, but he was still on that, so he beat the shit out of bro. Left him in a very interesting physical state, and he took the mask off and found out it was his own uncle. His uncle slimed him out for a ham sandwich and a can of Pepsi. And the whole hit was orchestrated by his own father. And his uncle's last words to him was, "You were never loved." Holy crap. And it's finally time for Gaara and Naruto to throw hands. This is where it all went down. This is where the maturation of the YN began. They got straight to it and they had an amazing scrap. They were both putting belt to. We saw Shikaku vs Kurama, hundreds of shadow clones, Shikaku vs Gamabunta. It was an all-out war. Niggas were getting down to business. But the whole time, Naruto was just trying to convince Gaara that they're basically the same. Because remember, niggas treated Naruto like he had the bubonic plague too. I'm not gonna lie, If I was Naruto, me and Pain would have been the second coming of the Brothers of Destruction. But I have this amazing philosophy, y'all. Hear me out. Basically, Naruto was mistreated his whole life, right? And he doesn't wish that pain on anyone. But GAARA was mistreated the same way, and he wishes that pain on everyone. So it's all about perspective, because both sides make sense. But at the end of the day, which side is going to take you in the right direction? Yo, quote that in your yearbook. I just made quote of 2025. But here's where it happened. This punch right here knocked the YN out of GAARA. He was never the same after this. He finally understood that Naruto is the exact same as him, but he handles his ops in a positive way. He doesn't body them off rip like GAARA was doing. He's spinning blocks with positivity after he beats the out of them. It's the thought that counts. But this officially marked the end of YN GAARA. After this, he turned into a chill guy. But don't get it twisted, GAARA was still tough. His war speech had me feeling like I can go 5 rounds with John Jones. All love to my boy GAARA. He's actually one of my top 3 characters. But that's gonna wrap up how GAARA went from a YN to a mature gentleman. Thank y'all for tuning in. Hope y'all enjoyed, and I'ma catch y'all niggas later. Subscribe!